Brought to you by Farm to Feast.
I'm speaking to Brett, who's the CEO of Newform, and we out here at Brickfields. Hey Brett, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for making the time to speak to us here at Farm to Feast. And I want you to just tell us a little bit about Newform and a little bit about how it started and what inspired the vision to get into the alternative food industry.
Yeah. First and foremost, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Great to have this conversation. I think maybe to start, why did Newform start? What exist was because sort of a decision that I took when I was about 20 years old.
Okay.
So it's now roughly 15, 16 years ago. To stop eating meat.
Oh wow.
So I was at UCT, university, and just did a course on ethics, and that just resonated with me immediately and stopped eating meat overnight. And since then, I've kind of been super interested by the connection about food systems, food tech now, and economics. And that's what I wrote my thesis on when I eventually got to university at Stellenbosch in a postgrad in economics. And I worked at a food company for about 10 odd years on and off, and also at NGOs working in food systems. And I've been able to combine a lot of that together, hopefully with a sort of strong entrepreneurial spirit that I've developed over the last 5-8 years. And the reason why Newform sort of came was obviously I was inspired to want to try to be as impactful as possible, as effective as possible, but really start something exciting and new, which cultivated meat. Cultivated animal products, or the idea that cellular agriculture can produce food in a way that's more sustainable and more efficient than previously was just interesting. And it hadn't been done on the African continent. So we brought it. We were the first company to start doing this in Africa, and that gave birth to Newform Foods. And what Newform is a company looking to what we're doing is growing meat and soon other products from cells without needing sort of the old conventional way, which is or can be improved, I think.
So just bringing it back to the market, when did you realize that, look, Newform actually has potential in this market, and maybe give us like a bit of an overview of how you see the cultivated meat market?
I think originally we thought we were going to make meat, as in we were going to make burgers and sell them to consumers. And my background was strongly FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, and I think that's what sort of influenced my sort of thought plan of how to bring this to market. And then we realized that the technology is fantastic and incredibly exciting, but a company like us, a startup, can't really do everything. We can't do the tech, scale, distribute, or manufacture, distribute, and then do everything. So the consumer, I definitely think, is looking in South Africa and around the world for alternatives or different products. But the way that it lands on the shelves, I think, has got a bit of work to do. And what we found was that our actual customer wasn't the end user, but it was actually companies in retail, quick service restaurants, food and meat manufacturers who were trying to future-proof their business. They had supply shocks, they had changing consumer tastes, they've seen the rise of plant-based meats and then the fall of plant-based meats, and it seems to be stabilizing. So we were servicing not a demand from maybe a customer who's looking for a cultivated burger, but from a company that was saying this technology is going to happen, or equivalent technology like this is going to happen. We want to be in there when it does. So ultimately, our market, it's a bit esoteric, is not maybe a product market, but it's a technology that we're giving exclusivity and access to technology to customers now.
Yes.
So that when the market is ready in several years' time, they're first to move on it instead of being reactive, which I think is their biggest fear.
Yeah. But among the up and coming and everyone who's doing things in cultivated meat, what would you say differentiates Newform?
What we're trying to develop is a platform that enables other companies to utilize this incredible wealth of knowledge that's been developed over the last 10 years, but makes it quite literally palatable for a conventional meat company to go and say, I want to introduce a value chain, because conventional meat companies have got plant-based lines.
Yes.
They're buying plant-based companies, etc. But none of them are really, a few of them are, but not too many are really getting behind cultivated meat because of some of the concerns around it in terms of capex and a few things. So we're a platform, we're enabling them to do it a lot hopefully cheaper. Cost effective is what we drive in South Africa, but just it's more simpler that people within a technical background in a meat industry can do it, opposed to saying I have to need 10 PhDs to run a facility. So that's what I think is the next generation.
Consumers are becoming more and more aware, and I see that there are definitely market trends when it comes to, well, at least for me and a lot of people I know, me coming from Southeast Asia and maybe a place like Singapore, you do see that people are becoming a lot more aware of, food trends, sustainability, and all of these things. Now, what consumer trends, I think in the maybe plant-based and alternative foods, have you noticed that maybe surprise you? Like, oh, I didn't think it would happen like this. Or maybe do you think it's kind of met your expectations with where you think the market is going?
Okay, so there is a significant amount of people that are interested to try alternatives. However, the difficulty is the repeat purchase, and two reasons sort of seem to impact that, two or three, because there's many. Convenience, taste, nutrition, and cost.
Okay.
Alternatives at the moment, it's not surprising, but they're too expensive.
Yeah.
Nutrition, if you look at the nutrition, a lot of people are saying well, these hyper-processed products, quote unquote, are they even that good for you?
Yeah.
Being touted as that. And then the other thing is just like the availability and we're just not getting the distribution rights on a lot of these things. So we're not actually giving consumers the chance to really become change their behavior, because it's just not, the product is slightly inferior. Also, it might be a great product, but it's just difficult to come by. So I think that's quite an interesting thing, or surprising, or to understand how certain barriers can really put you aside. And I think what's surprising, mainly, to finally answer your question, is that the conversations that I'm having with, not to consumers, but to meats, to big companies, is that they understand that the industry's changed.
Yes.
And that they need to be part of it.
Yes.
And accepting of it and getting involved in it. So some of the most advanced conversations are not with friends or people asking questions about how, tell me more about this product, cultivated meat, but it's about existing players in the meat and seafood and etc. market.
Yes.
Wanting to know more. And I think that's encouraging.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest surprise to me, is the way that we've still having very difficult and long conversations, but we are having lots of conversations with the right players in the industry in South Africa and soon to be the UK.
Awesome. If you could wave a magic wand and solve one challenge in the alternative food industry, what would it be?
Not funding.
Okay.
So I'm not allowed funding. Funding is too easy. So I think it's a difficult one because it's time.
Time. Okay.
It's the pharmaceutical industry's been doing this for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah.
Whatever, 50, 60 years, sort of formally in the way that we know it today. And the food tech industry, my industry, has gone and said since about 2013, roughly, we're going to do it in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Because we had to, because we got VC money.
Yes.
And they said,
yes.
Do stuff now. So I think if there was a magic wand, it would be a way to sort of probably go back earlier and have more time.
Yes.
And not be chasing milestones that are associated with correct terms within a VC model, which says after 5 to 7 years, we need to see something.
Sure.
Whereas to do a new drug, I don't know, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But on the same side, we don't, someone who doesn't want animals to be involved in the supply chain.
Yes.
That's my driver.
Yeah.
You kind of want to be quick because there's lots of suffering happening in this industry.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Time. Nice one. And these two last questions are personal insights.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. One is a farm to feast question that I ask all the founders that I interview.
Yeah.
So the first one is, what's the best meal you've had recently, whether Newform Foods related or not?
Look, in the last 2 years, the meal that changed my life was a burger that we made.
Yeah.
Nice. And I ate that in front of an audience of 50 people.
Okay.
With chefs and politicians, etc. at our launch.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. And that's, that was quite a unique experience because, I obviously got quite emotional because I hadn't eaten meat conventionally for
a while.
Years, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So that experience will, regardless of what happens in the future of the company, will be something that I think I will always remember.
Yeah. So you guys, you heard it here. We had Brett here from Newform. I'm just realizing something, that this is probably one of the only industries where you can get high on your own supply.
I don't even know if it's legal yet. So.
And it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
We've written an article previously on Alps Foods. I brought you someone here who's actually living it and building a company in the space. And Brett, we thank you for your time, man. And thank you so much.
For having me.
That's it. Cheers, guys.